A couple of weeks ago, a company called Upcrate reached out and asked if I'd be interested in working with them, so they very kindly sent me one of their boxes to play around with, which I was so excited for because they are an art subscription company, which is something that I have not done in a very, very long time. I used to be subscribed to a company called Art Snacks, but I ended up canceling my subscription after a couple of years of being with them just because their supplies were not worth the value at all, so paying for them just wasn't it for me. So I was really excited to try out a different company's art subscription box, especially knowing going into this that Upcrate's big thing is the supplies inside are worth more than the value of the box, which is something that, most people want with subscription boxes, so they're not necessarily losing money on things. So going into opening this box, I had no idea what was in here because it is like a mystery subscription box, which is something that is so unbelievably fun about these kinds of boxes. So first and foremost, it comes with this beautiful pamphlet that includes so much information on art supplies you received, as well as a bunch of different illustrations from other artists, which is so cool. They pull some stuff off of Instagram, they'll have a featured artist. Very, very nice that they showcase a lot of artists in their pamphlet. This box also came with a little sticker sheet, as well as this cute little long card with information on it. And then the last little thing here is a print from the featured artist, which is really cool because it demonstrates the supplies that were used in the box. So very, very cool. It's also nice, like I said before, that they feature artists and their handle is going to be on the screen for you in case you're interested in checking them out. And onto the actual art supplies that came in this box. The first thing that I ended up picking up was this pad of Bristol paper. It comes with 20 sheets, and what's really cool about this is that the actual packaging is exclusive for Upcrate, which is always really cool to see, especially with art subscription services, that they're actually making their own packaging for things. I was also really excited to try the Bristol paper as a whole because it's been recommended to me so many times for alcohol markers, and I always forget when I go shopping for art supplies why I want Bristol paper. I don't know why. I couldn't even begin to tell you, but I've never picked any up, so I was so excited to try this out and see how it worked with alcohol markers. And very conveniently for me, alcohol markers were something that was included in this box. It came with a selection of 6 different of the Winsor & Newton Pro markers. And I'm pretty sure I've tried these pro markers in the past with an Art Snacks box. I didn't have a huge color selection to choose from, so I don't even remember what my preference on these markers are or my opinion, but this comes with a really nice variety. It comes with 6 different colors, and each of these markers has a small bullet nib as well as a chisel nib. And I did appreciate that for the most part, the colors I ended up getting were somewhat cohesive. It definitely wouldn't be the color palette I would have chosen for myself, but at the very least, nothing was super horrendously clashing with a different color. The next thing I pulled out was this Sakura Pen Touch paint marker. It is a 1.0 millimeter tip, and it's in a very, very vibrant orange color. Initially, I thought it was going to be a white paint marker, which I was really excited about, but it actually has a little dot on the cap that indicates which color it is, and it is a very, very vibrant orange. This box also comes with a Sakura Pigma BB brush pen, as well as just a very, very fine-lined micron. I honestly was a tiny bit worried about this micron being in the box, just because it is such a fine nib, and I tend not to like fine liners too much, but in the end, I actually really enjoyed using this really, really fine nib. And then the last item that came in this box was the Koh-i-Noor Hardmouth pencil. I'm not the biggest fan of graphite pencils, but the selection of art supplies in this box as a whole was so, so nice because everything goes together so cohesively. You have a graphite pencil, you have alcohol markers, you have different kinds of liners for your alcohol markers, and you also have a paint pen on top of that, which is really nice because all of those things are very different, but they work so well together, especially including a paint pen in there, just so you can add some kind of opaqueness to it. So I was really, really impressed with this box. Also, like I mentioned, I used to be subscribed to a different art subscription service called Art Snacks, and I was paying for that out of my own pocket for the better part of 2 or 3 years. I was getting Art Snacks for a really long time, and there's so much fun associated with mystery art subscription services in the sense of you get to try so many new art supplies. But one big thing about art snacks specifically that really irked me was that it really wasn't worth the money, because more often than not, the art supplies that were included were less than the cost of the box. So you'd be able to go out and purchase those things individually and you'd be saving money. And something that is really, really cool about Upcrate, like I mentioned before, is that they constantly value the art supplies in the box as more than what you are paying for the box. Upcrate is based in Germany, and that's where everything ships from. So on their website, everything is listed in euros, but it has a basic translation to USD in case you live in the States. So for 1 month of Upcrate, shipping is included. It's only around $25 USD. Or you can go on a 3-month basis and pay about $71 USD, which is really, really nice because, like I said, that also includes shipping. And just basing off of this box, I looked up the Winsor & Newton Pro markers, and open stock from Dick Blick, which tends to be cheaper than actually like Michael's or any other retailer, but the markers on Blick run around $4 each. It looks like they're around like $4.19 USD per marker, and this box came with 6 markers. So right then and there, that's already the entire cost of the box. Like, yes, you're not picking the art supplies, but this one was curated so well that they definitely are choosing art supplies that work well together, like go well together. It's really nice that they also included a surface to go off of, but just the markers alone already covers the cost of the box, and then you're getting a board of Bristol paper as well as 4 other pens and pencils. So that's like such a good deal. I was so excited to see that because that was my biggest beef with art snacks as someone who had been getting art snacks for years, was like, yeah, it's really fun to get art supplies in the mail every month. It pushes you to try new things, and even if it's just in the sense of I'm playing with this, and if you turn out to not like it, that's totally fine. But knowing that it is so cost efficient to go through Upcrate is so immensely exciting. When it came to actually swatching the art supplies, I was very satisfied with how everything looked together. At first glance, I wasn't 100% sure about the alcohol markers and the color combinations, but all things considered, with having the lighter tones like the gray and the more light skin tone, that was a very nice combination of everything, because what they did with this box was there were 3 pre-designated colors and then the other 3 were just kind of randomly selected. So that's really cool because it adds variety in what people get from box to box. That way it's not the same thing all the way around. The only thing color-wise that I was like pretty unsure about was the orange paint pen, because I just wasn't sure how like a super vibrant, nearly neon orange would fit in with everything else. But I had so much fun swatching these, and then when it came to actually playing around with the supplies, oh my gosh, I really need to invest in more Bristol paper, because using alcohol markers on Bristol paper is so nice to work with. Also, I'm someone who really sticks with textured paper, so Bristol paper is very smooth, but it didn't really change anything in the process because very recently I bought a pad of hot pressed watercolor paper, which is smooth watercolor paper, and it is such a different experience. Like, I used 1 sheet of paper and I really didn't like it because I'm so accustomed to textured watercolor paper and the entire process of painting is so different. So I was like, oof, maybe smooth paper is not for me. But no, it's just with watercolors. I guess if I really want to push myself to do so, if I really want to try to get used to hot press paper, I'm really gonna have to work for it. But working on this Bristol paper was such a nice experience with markers, so I'm definitely gonna be doing that in the future because I love working with alcohol markers. And especially because I've been given the opportunity to try out so many different brands of alcohol markers. I have so many markers. I have such nice color selections of markers, and I definitely don't play with this medium as much as I want to because I love working with alcohol markers. It's so nostalgic for me because that was really when I started spending good money on art supplies, was when it came to alcohol markers, because I dove right into Copics and they are horrendously expensive, but I have so many good memories and good feelings attached to alcohol markers, so it's a medium that I've cherished for so long. So Bristol paper is life-changing, which, like I said, people have been recommending to me, you need to try Bristol board, you need to try Bristol paper. I had not until this point, and it's so nice. It's so nice working on smooth paper with alcohol markers. And on top of that, I actually really liked using the micron for certain details here and there. Because it's such a thin nib, it almost felt like I was using a gel pen, which is something that I have been leaning towards so much lately. I love using black gel pens, so definitely on the smooth paper, I think I can emotionally handle using fine liners, which was very exciting. One of the markers that was included with my Upcrate was a colorless blender for the Winsor & Newton Pro markers, which I've only used like one other colorless blender in the past. I want to say it was an Arteza one, and colorless blenders, oof, the worst kind of alcohol marker. For like years and years and years, it made sense to me because it is what is logical, is that colorless blenders actually, like blended colors together, but they're just straight alcohol inside. They're not dyed ink at all. And so they just kind of lift color when you apply them, which definitely has its time and place. But every time I see a colorless blender, I'm like, ooh, it's gonna help you blend. No, it's very deceptive. I don't really personally have a use for colorless blenders, so that might change in the future, who knows. It was just a very sad moment when I was doing my initial blending sheet of all the alcohol markers together just on my swatch page, and I was like, ooh, I'll use the colorless blender to blend these together. And then I got hit with the memory of when I swatched, it must have been Arteza's colorless blender, and I was like, wow, this is really garbage. Like, why isn't this doing anything? It's because colorless blenders are so weird. I don't know why they're marketed the way that they are. Just all of them, like every single brand does it. Anyways, that is the start and the end of my mini rant about colorless blenders because they're just so why. I don't really have a use for them, but they sure do exist out there. And I had so much fun playing around just on the swatch page itself for actually trying out these art supplies that I just kind of wanted to do something pretty simple and loose for the finished piece, especially because I really didn't know what to do for this color combination, and then I had so much fun with the way I structured the flowers on there. I was really happy with the way that the paint pen actually laid down on the peachy toned marker and the yellow accents and everything, and then the red as a really big pop of color. So I kind of just went that direction as far as the artwork goes. I just drew some cats being cute with some foliage in the background and some flowers in the background, and it was just a nice little easy piece to work on, and I loved using these art supplies. As you can see, the alcohol markers do end up leading to the other page. This isn't the back of the previous page, this is the following one on the paper pad. So for this paper specifically, which is the 246 GSM Bristol paper from Talons, definitely recommend putting just some kind of piece of paper behind it. You don't need anything more than just printer paper, which is what I normally use in sketchbooks anyways when I'm using alcohol markers. But yeah, you'll probably want to tuck that behind the sheet so you don't end up with the same problem as I did. I don't know why, I wasn't even thinking about it when I was working on this piece, because like I said, this is my first time trying Bristol paper, and I wasn't expecting it at all to not bleed, because, that's just kind of how alcohol markers work, unless you're using a render sketchbook, which is a whole other thing, because those sketchbooks are so weird, the paper is so weird. But for every other sketchbook I've had, alcohol markers definitely do bleed through to the other page, and they really did with this one, so I wasn't even mad about it. I just went with it. When I saw it initially, I was like, ooh, that's kind of uggy on the page, but I knew I was going into this with such a loose mindset on what I was making, and knowing that I was just kind of making art to have fun and enjoy playing with different art supplies. So my finished piece has a tiny little bit of that bleed through showing through, which honestly, it builds character. I would never do that for a more finished, lots of time put into it piece, but as far as this goes, this is very similar to sketchbook work for me, so it's alright. And then the other art supply that really stuck out to me and I really enjoyed using was the Sakura Pigma BB brush pen. I've used a lot of different Sakura brush pens in the past, but this one specifically, I don't know, I've seen it before. I feel like I've seen it in person and online, but I've never really been drawn to it because the barrel isn't anything super pretty. It's a very plain looking pen. In fact, it reminds me of the really, really cheap ballpoint pens that would just have a cap and a black barrel. That's what it reminded me of. So I've never been personally attracted to trying it myself, but it was really nice to get my hands on it and play around with it for this box because it's such a cool pen. It's so versatile and the nib is so like springy and soft, so you can get a really varied line weight with this, which is always really nice to be able to do with a single pen. I definitely need to play around with it more to be able to get consistently thinner lines when I'm just going and going and going. But it was really nice to work with, and I'm excited to play around with it more in the future because I feel like it is also like super, super juicy of a pen. With some brush pens, they can get streaky, but this one just felt super juicy. The nib was so springy, like I said, and it's definitely a pen that I want to play around with more in the future. As far as Upcrate goes, I was really impressed with this box. Like I said, everything was curated really nice. The art supplies went really well together. And I definitely think that the price that they charge for their boxes is super reasonable and a very good deal. So big thank you to Upcrate for reaching out to me. It was lovely opening this box and trying out more art supplies. I've always really enjoyed the concept of subscription boxes for art supplies just because you get to try so many new things and so many products that both might be things that you've seen before and you just weren't sure if you wanted to try it, or things that you've never seen before ever, and it gives you a chance to just fall in love with different art supplies because that's actually how I ended up finding a lot of like pens, brush pens, and just little things here and there that I like to use is from when I would get art subscription boxes. So I definitely think they're a very fun thing to do if you have the money to spare. And if you are interested in Upcrate specifically, I have a discount code for 15% off your first box, whether it be a 1-month subscription or a 3-month subscription. So that code is just going to be TIRA15. I'll leave it on the screen in subtitles in case you're interested, and I'll also have it in the description box below. And of course, thank you guys so much for watching. I plan to have more studio vloggy content coming up here in the near future because I'm working towards a lot of shop related stuff. I'm trying to design a bunch of new products for my shop, so we'll see how that goes. Pretty much no promises on what I will or won't make because I'm constantly changing my mind, but that'll be something that I will have to show for you guys pretty soon here. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.